जस्ट हिंदी के सारे व्यूअर्स को वेलकम टू प्रोग्राम स्ट्रेट टॉक में आपकी होस्ट आशमिता। यूएस में जो प्रेसिडेंशियल फेडरल इलेक्शन के लेके प्राइमरीज चल रही हैं वो काफ़ी ज़ोर शोर से अंडर वे हैं एंड जहाँ पे हम अब बात कर रहे हैं न्यूयॉर्क प्राइमरी की, वो कल इलेक्शन होने जा रहे हैं ऑन ट्यूसडे जून 23। जो न्यूयॉर्क प्राइमरी का वोटिंग का प्रोसेस है उसमें कुछ ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शन को भी इम्पैक्ट करती हैं, उनके बारे में आज आपके साथ जानकारी शेयर करेंगे। खास करके एक एलिमेंट जो बहुत न्यूज़ में शायद आपने इसके बारे में सुना होगा बट शायद इतने क्लियरली उसका जो सिग्निफिकेंस है खास करके हमारी कम्युनिटी के लिए एक्सप्लेन शायद नहीं हुई हो, इस करके ये प्रोग्राम आपके लिए लेके आए। ये प्रोग्राम बिल्कुल लाइव जा रहा है, आप कॉल करके अपने सवाल, क्वेश्चंस, कमेंट्स हमारे साथ रख सकते हैं। आज मैं आपके साथ बात करना चाहती हूँ ना कि सिर्फ न्यूयॉर्क प्राइमरी की जो कल होने जा रही है बट ऑल्सो जो डेलीगेट सिलेक्शन प्रोसेस है जो इस वोटिंग का एक हिस्सा है। जब हम डेलीगेट्स की बात करते हैं इस कंट्री में, ऑफ कोर्स आपने अब तक सुन ही लिया होगा कि डेमोक्रेटिक पार्टी ने अपना कैंडिडेट जो बाइडेन को चुना है इस साल की फेडरल इलेक्शन में रन होने के लिए। बट जो बाइडेन की जो रेस थी उसको चुनने की, उसमें जो डेलीगेट्स इन्वॉल्व थे, जो आपने पिछले महीनों से देखते आ रहे हैं, डिफरेंट स्टेट्स में प्राइमरी इलेक्शंस हुए जहां पे उन्होंने अपने कैंडिडेट्स को सपोर्ट की, चोजन कैंडिडेट्स को वो डेलीगेट्स के थ्रू चूज़ हुए एंड जिस स्टेट में ज़्यादा किसी एक कैंडिडेट को वोट मिली उस कैंडिडेट को स्टेट के डेलीगेट्स मिले। ये बड़ी सिंपल सी एक्सप्लेनेशन है। ऑफ कोर्स जो प्रोसेस है बहुत ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है, सो इसको आज हम आपके लिए सिंप्लीफाई करने की कोशिश करेंगे एंड मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंटली आज आपको ये बताना चाहेंगे, अगर आप फॉर एग्जांपल यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में एक बर्नी सैंडर्स के सपोर्टर थे, अब बर्नी सैंडर्स ने डेमोक्रेटिक कैंडिडेट की रेस में से ज़रूर ड्रॉप आउट कर लिया हो, बट जो स्टेट्स के अभी तक प्राइमरी इलेक्शंस रहते हैं जिनको मौका नहीं मिला, जिनके इलेक्शंस पोस्टपोन हो गए या न्यूयॉर्क की तरह जिनके इलेक्शंस लेट होते हैं साइकिल में, उनके बैलेट्स पे जो डेलीगेट्स आप कह लो अप फॉर ग्रैब्स हैं उनको लेके, खास करके जैसे हमने बर्नी सैंडर्स की बात की, उनके जो सपोर्टर्स हैं अभी भी अपनी वोट का हक जमा सकते हैं। एंड अगर आप सोच रहे होंगे कि क्यों बाइडेन को तो डेमोक्रेटिक पार्टी ने चुन लिया है कैंडिडेट के तौर पे, तो क्या फ़ायदा है किसी और कैंडिडेट को अपनी वोट डालने के लिए या किसी और कैंडिडेट के लिए जो डेलीगेट्स प्लेज हुए हैं उनको अपनी वोट डालने के लिए। जो डिफरेंट बैलेट्स पे आप नाम शायद देखोगे, खास करके अगर आप न्यूयॉर्क में हो, वो वॉक यू थ्रू दैट प्रोसेस कि क्यों ये सारी चीज़ें अभी भी मायने रखती हैं। एंड अगर आप इस पार्टी में, अगर आप डेमोक्रेटिक पार्टी में एक प्रोग्रेसिव, एक लिबरल चेंज देखना चाहते हो, कैसे आप डेलीगेट्स को सपोर्ट करके, राइट डेलीगेट्स को सपोर्ट करके इस चीज़ में अभी भी इम्पैक्ट डाल सकते हो। अगर हम बर्नी की बात करें, जो उनके कुछ प्लेटफॉर्म्स थे, मेडिकेयर फॉर ऑल, एजुकेशन, जो सबसे बड़े उनके मेन प्लेटफॉर्म्स थे, अगर वो चीज़ें अभी भी आपको इम्प्लीमेंट करनी है डेमोक्रेटिक पार्टी के थ्रू, आपके पास क्या ऑप्शंस है, खास करके जब डेलीगेट्स की बात आती है। सो इस चीज़ को डिस्कस करने के लिए आज हम आपके लिए लेके आए एक ऐसा इंसान जो डेलीगेट बन चुके हैं एंड वो हमें बताएंगे कि ये प्रोसेस होता क्या है एंड कैसे आप एक वोटर के तौर पे अभी भी इस चीज़ की एडवांटेज लेके अपना जो आप अपना वोटिंग राइट आजमा सकते हैं एंड जो आपके कैंडिडेट्स हैं, जो आपकी पॉलिसीज़ आप देखना चाहते हैं, अभी भी आप उनको लागू कर सकते हैं। बात ऐसे ही जारी रहेगी ब्रेक के बाद। वेलकम बैक फ्रॉम द ब्रेक। आप देख रहे हैं प्रोग्राम स्ट्रेट टॉक एंड आज बात हो रही है यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में जो प्राइमरीज अंडर वे हैं, खास करके न्यूयॉर्क स्टेट के जो इलेक्शंस कल होने जा रहे हैं उनमें आप कैसे पार्टेक करके अपनी प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शन में इम्पैक्ट दिखा सकते हैं एंड क्या स्पेसिफिकली इस प्रोसेस में एक डेलीगेट का रोल होता है। जो डेलीगेट्स डिफरेंट कैंडिडेट्स के लिए प्लेज हुए होते हैं, अभी भी वो उस कैंडिडेट की जो प्लेटफॉर्म प्लेटफॉर्म है, उनकी जो पॉलिसीज़ थी उनके पीछे अपनी सपोर्ट डाल सकते हैं, एंड कैसे आप उन डेलीगेट्स को सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं, या कैसे आपको चुनना चाहिए किस डेलीगेट के पीछे अपनी वोट डालनी है, इसके बारे में आज बात करेंगे। एंड इस चीज़ को आपके साथ डिस्कस करने के लिए हम गेस्ट लेके आए हैं। प्लीज़ जॉइन मी इन वेलकमिंग मिस गुरदीप कौर फ्रॉम कैलिफोर्निया, जो कि बर्नी सैंडर्स की प्लेज्ड कैंडिडेट है। गुरदीप, वेलकम टू द शो।
Thank you for having me, Ashmita.
Of course. Gurdeep, first of all, congratulations. Last time we talked, you told me you were in the process of becoming a candidate. अब आप formally एक pledged candidate बन चुके हैं for Bernie Sanders in California. So congratulations to you. Gurdeep, सबसे पहले मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाहूँगी, ये जो delegate का process है, even for, people who are very experienced in this or familiar with the voting system in this country, it's a little shady, right? It's a little unclear. And on top of that, the Democratic Party recently changed some rules, like getting rid of superdelegates. So सबसे पहले, let's start with, what is a delegate? खास करके जैसे हम आज इस साल Democratic primary में देख रहे हैं, the Democratic candidate choice for presidential election coming in November. Explain to our viewers, what is the role of a delegate?
Okay, so a delegate, you guys have probably heard that Bernie Sanders has this many delegates, or Biden has this many delegates. The state of California has over 400 delegates to win. Mm-hmm. And what that means is it works a little bit similar to the Electoral College. Mm-hmm. So delegates are people like myself that attend the Democratic National Convention that's going to happen in August this year. Mm-hmm. And Biden looks like he's the presumed nominee. Mm-hmm. He doesn't get the nomination until us delegates arrive at the convention, have a series of meetings and task forces over the course of a week, and we actually vote to give him the Democratic nomination. Mm-hmm. So,
go ahead.
Yeah, so that was it.
Okay. नहीं, आपने बड़ी सिंपली इस चीज़ को एक्सप्लेन किया. सो बेसिकली आप एक कैंडिडेट के पीछे अपनी प्लेज डाल रहे हो फॉर द इवेंचुअल डेमोक्रेटिक नेशनल कन्वेंशन, विच इज़ हम कह सकते हैं जो फॉर्मल या ऑफिशियल जहाँ पे कैंडिडेट की चॉइस बनाई जाती है पार्टीज़ में. ऑफ कोर्स रिपब्लिकन्स हैव देयर ओन कन्वेंशन, डेमोक्रेट्स हैव देयर ओन. दिस ईयर रिपब्लिकन्स ऑलरेडी हैव अ कैंडिडेट बिकॉज दे हैव द इनकम्बेंसी, बट डेमोक्रेटिक साइड से वीव gone through this whole long process of going through all of these primaries in each of these different states leading up to the convention in August. Gurdeep, मैं ज़रूर यहाँ पे आपसे पूछना चाहूँगी, you recently became a delegate, and I think that's important to highlight that part of the electoral process in this country. हमारा ज़रूर इस प्रोग्राम में कोशिश होती है कि हम लोगों को यहाँ पे उनका जो हक है, वोट है, उसके बारे में empower करें, right? So tell us, what was the process to become a delegate for you?
So in order to be a delegate for the Democratic Party, you need to be a registered Democrat. And then you need to really just go out and kind of campaign. Social media played a huge role this year because of Corona and COVID. To start off, you do need to volunteer and have a history with the campaign. Mm-hmm. So I voted for Bernie because I volunteered with him. Mm-hmm. And the Bernie Sanders campaign vets the people that want to represent him at mm-hmm. the convention to make sure you're actually fighting for the things that he's about. And they vet everything. They ask you to share your social media account to make sure you're not like an undercover mm-hmm. Supporter of somebody else. And once you pass that, and some districts it's easier to get on the ballot than others. Mm-hmm. And once you have that, then you really just try to get the word out and get people to vote. This year it was a little bit more complicated because everything was online for the first time. Mm-hmm. And I want to encourage people who have always been interested in politics mm-hmm. to do this, because it's a really good way to get into it without like running a huge campaign or anything. It's a good way to get an insight of how the Democratic Party works.
And the end result is that you get to, once if you are selected, if you make it as a delegate, you get to go to the convention, right? So I want to now talk a little bit about that. So you go to the convention, you have your deliberations, your meetings. Now, you know, you are a pledged Bernie delegate, but obviously Bernie has already dropped out. So for the average person, it kind of means that your role in the process is maybe irrelevant now because the candidate that you've pledged for is no longer in the running. But this would be a falsehood, right? So tell us, even though your candidate is no longer in the running, you being pledged as a Bernie delegate has what impact on the process come August?
Okay, so at the convention, it's a week-long convention where there's meetings, you're divided into committees, and you advocate for the issues that matter to you. And you help form the platform of the Democratic Party and their candidate. So yes, Bernie is not running anymore, and Biden might be our candidate, but he still has to represent us. So just because Bernie dropped out, you know, healthcare is still a human right. We're still flooded with healthcare bills. Immigration reform is still a problem. You know, we have relatives, we have family, neighbors that are still fighting to become citizens in this country. So the problems didn't disappear just because our candidate isn't running anymore. So it's important that we carry on the fight so that we're at the table, we make our voices heard, and it's a negotiation at the convention. And this is where you see the platform of a lot of candidates shift. Sometimes people say they flip-flopped, or even Obama became very pro-LGBTQ towards the end. And it was because of people inside the Democratic Party that were saying, this is what you need to represent us, because everybody who's elected is a representative of us. And we can't ignore the issues that we need addressed.
Right.
Right.
So Gurdeep, basically आप कह रहे हो कि जो delegates हैं, you know, on a very large, high level, you could say that they are pushing the party in a direction over the long term. And no matter who the ultimate candidate is, हम यहाँ पे ये भी कह सकते हैं कि जो delegates हैं, वो अपने candidates की platforms को लेके आते हैं to the table to make sure no matter who the ultimate candidate is, that वो सारी चीज़ों को consider करके अपना platform build करें to represent the whole party, you would say, not just what they initially campaigned on.
Exactly, because they have to expand their base. And although Biden has the pledged delegates, I personally know people who are delegates for Biden now, but back in 2016, they ran to be delegates for Bernie. So until you get to the convention, people flip. So he needs to secure all of our votes. And we need to carry on the fight that, and it's like, you know, like Bernie said, not me, us, main nahi, hum sab. And it's important that we keep carrying that on and keep bringing those issues and pushing it as far left or whichever direction that we want to go as a community.
Absolutely. Gurdeep, मैं ज़रूर यहाँ पे अब you know, thank you, आपने इतनी अच्छी तरह से हमें explain किया ये process जो normally seems too complicated to kind of wrap your head around in terms of एक delegate क्या होता है, आप कैसे delegate बनते हो, and जब आप बन जाते हो एक delegate का एक party में क्या role होता है influence करने का, not just the candidate at the forefront, but the overall direction that the party moves in over the long term. I definitely want to talk a little bit about the big primary in New York that's going to take place tomorrow. You know, there is a big, there's a large amount of delegates up for grabs, and obviously, you know, New York being a very liberal, traditionally blue state, there is a large support base here for Bernie Sanders, and मैं चाहती हूँ कि हमारे viewers को पता हो कि कल जब वो वोट डालने जाएंगे, how their vote is going to impact that delegate base and ultimately the direction that the Democratic Party goes in. But यहाँ पे हम एक छोटे से break ले रुकते हैं, आप कहीं ना जाओ, आप भी हमारे साथ ऐसे ही जुड़े रहो, आपके सारे सवाल, questions, comments आंसर करेंगे इस break के बाद. ब्रेक के बाद एक बार फिर आपका स्वागत है। आप देख रहे हैं प्रोग्राम स्ट्रेट टॉक एंड बात हो रही है कैसे आप अपनी वोट प्राइमरी इलेक्शन में डाल के अभी भी अपने कैंडिडेट्स को सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं, चाहे वो इस प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शन की टिकट पर ना हो। जैसे हम बर्नी सैंडर्स की बात कर रहे थे एंड इस चीज़ को हमारे साथ डिस्कस करने के लिए हमें एक बार फिर ज्वाइन करें मिस गुरदीप कौर, प्लेज्ड बर्नी सैंडर्स डेलीगेट फ्रॉम कैलिफोर्निया। गुरदीप जी, आपका शो में एक बार फिर स्वागत। गुरदीप जी, आप हमें जाने से पहले आपने पूरा जो डेलीगेट सिलेक्शन प्रोसेस है एंड कैसे एक डेलीगेट एक प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शन में क्या उनका रोल होता है, आपने बड़ी अच्छी तरीके से एक्सप्लेन किया। आई वांट टू मूव नाउ ऑफ कोर्स टू द बिग प्राइमरी इन न्यूयॉर्क। सबसे पहले तो मैं जस्ट फॉर द व्यूअर्स नॉलेज ये मेंशन करना चाहती हूँ कि जो न्यूयॉर्क की प्राइमरी थी वो तो न्यूयॉर्क कैंसिल करने की कोशिश कर रहा था एंड इट वाज ओनली आफ्टर ए लॉ सूट ब्रॉट बाय फॉर्मर presidential candidate Andrew Yang against the state of New York that this was allowed to continue. So सबसे पहले गुरदीप जी, you as a delegate now, you are part of the process. In your own words, what is the importance of a primary, even in a blue state, even in a state जहाँ पे हमें पता है इन्होंने एक तरफ swing करना ही है, like New York in terms of the Democratic primary, but still the importance of making sure that those votes are counted. You being an insider now to the process, can you explain to our viewers the importance of having that election?
Yeah, primaries are immensely important. We, again, cannot just vote for presidential elections. We cannot only care about the president. We have to care about every down ballot candidate there is, whether it's your local council member, your local state senator, state assembly. All those matter because it's not enough that you're voting blue. Mm-hmm. There's this term, there's rhinos and dinos. Rhino means Republican in name only, and Dino means Democrat in name only. Mm-hmm. And it's a political strategy where, somebody could be like, hey, to win in New York, I got to run as a Democrat, but they may support things like that contradict what you believe in. Mm-hmm. So you got to do your research. You have to make sure that who you're electing, mm-hmm. I'm a progressive, they need to actually be progressive. It's mm-hmm. not enough whether they're running as a Democrat or a Republican. Mm-hmm. They need to actually represent progressive values.
Right.
One website that I use that I think is very informative is ballotpedia.org.
Ballotpedia. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really great. It's pretty easy to use. It really breaks down not just every measure on your election ballot, but it even tells you who sponsored it, how much money has gone into this, mm-hmm. How much has each vote cost, mm-hmm. And there's endorsements. So really, I think as our responsibility as informed voters mm-hmm. is to inform our community, and we do need to take a few hours out of our day to do this research so that we can share it and become like knowledge basins for mm-hmm. everybody to turn to.
Mm-hmm. So coming to now the primary that's taking place, thanks to this lawsuit, thanks to the people in the system fighting to make sure कि एक बंदे की vote अभी भी count करे for whichever platform or policy they choose to cast it for, but it's important to be able to have the choice to vote. And this is again important. अगर हम आज की खबरें देखें, I'm sure you've probably heard the stories coming out of Kentucky, for example, right? So the big news story in all of the American media today was Kentucky, which is also having a primary today, much like New York. उन्होंने COVID को लेके, I mean, as a reasoning that was given, I think they cut down 95% of the polling places. Something really shocking. I think it was like, they just immediately, I mean, if that's not voter suppression, I'm not sure what is. But so in a state like New York where we have the chance, हमें opportunity मिली, हम अपनी vote cast कर सकते हैं. Now let's talk a little bit about how it works in the sense, and hopefully you can give us a good example. Being a pledged Bernie delegate, कल हम वोटिंग पोलिंग प्लेस पे जाते हैं, डेलीगेट्स के नाम लिखे हुए हैं, बर्नी सैंडर्स के प्लेज डेलीगेट्स उस बैलेट पे होंगे, जो बाइडन के प्लेज डेलीगेट्स उस बैलेट पे होंगे. is it enough to just say कि okay, इस election की beginning में मैं Bernie Sanders को support करता था, मैं चाहता हूँ कि मेरी vote अभी भी मेरे delegates उनकी तरफ जाएं, so let me just vote and pick all of the Bernie delegates listed on the ballot. Is that enough, or is there something more we should know about that?
It's a little bit even more complicated than that. It's two steps. So tomorrow when New York votes, you're going to vote to either for Bernie, Biden, Warren, whoever's still on the ballot. Once you vote for Bernie, it gives him the seats. So for example, in my district, there were 5 seats available. It's based on population and allocation. So out of the 5 seats, Bernie won 4 seats because of how many votes he gathered here. After that, then people run to fill those seats. And that's the part that people are not as involved in. And it's fairly easy if you do so want to become a delegate. I think it might be a little bit too late for this year for New York. But all the deadlines have changed because of COVID. So tomorrow you're going to vote for the candidate. And after that, that decides how many seats, how many supporters they're going to get. And then there's a second election that happens that people are not usually informed about. That's when you figure out who's going to fill that seat as a delegate.
And this second election, this is within the party, this is just delegates only. ये जो आपने दूसरा election अभी बताया हमें that no one really hears about it, where does it take place?
So in California, they actually did it all online this year, and it was difficult. It's the first time they're doing it. It's online. It's complicated. Like we had to make sure everybody requested a ballot because they don't just send it to everyone. You have to request an electronic ballot. They verify that you're registered. Even then, most of us didn't get our ballots, and we had to contact the party and ask them where our votes are. And then we cast our votes online. I'm pretty sure New York's going to do the same thing.
Yes.
What's really insightful is that you have to really fight at every single step to get your vote. And I think we take our votes for granted. I think all of us know somebody who's undocumented or somehow unable to vote, and we need to really realize how important our vote is.
Absolutely, and I think it's even more important. आपने पहले भी ये बात हमारे viewers के साथ share की, to not just focus on or think about an election in terms of the big ones like the presidential election this year, but the elections that are taking place every year for all of these other local and statewide positions that open up. Jewel, and once again, I ask you this as someone आप process में अब involved हो, आपको clearly इसके बारे में जानकारी है, and you've gone as far as to become a pledged delegate. Just briefly, the day-to-day lives of an average citizen are impacted more by a president or their local elected officials, right? I'd love to hear your opinion on that.
So I work in local governments throughout LA, and the people who show up to meetings get heard. So planning commission, city council, you need to be involved. So what's interesting also in the delegate process is that there are already reserved seats, and those usually go to local council members, state assembly people, so they don't even have to run for an election. So the people who are going to represent us at the DNC by default are usually already conservative, and it's people who are outsiders that have to come into the mix, have to run these elections, campaign, and push that party to where they want it to be. I think it's absolutely important that parents get involved with school boards, really analyzing everybody who's elected and really not doubting yourself. Everybody has a right to know what's going on in their community, to question what's going on in their community. There's discrepancies in voter turnouts between wealthy white neighborhoods and poor neighborhoods of color, and we need to close that gap. We need to pick up newspapers. We need to stop being intimidated by the process and take control of our democracy.
Absolutely. And I think, it's so funny you use the term voter turnout, but like Kentucky, we can use that as an example. So many times turnout is not something that a local population controls, but what the local politicians control, because they can or cannot let the population have access to the voting and the polling booths, right? Like we're seeing in Kentucky, unfortunately. So it's very important. And गुरदीप जी, मैं आपसे यहाँ पे ये भी पूछना चाहूँगी, much like you mentioned the Electoral College before, right? And maybe there's a parallel to be drawn here. In the 2016 election, President Trump, in terms of the popular vote, actually had 3 million less votes than Hillary Clinton, but still ended up winning the election because of the Electoral College, right? So once again, explain to us the value of voting down ballot for all of these other positions, as opposed to just the one candidate that you support for president.
Absolutely. And I'm going to use the example of Kentucky here. I pulled up some statistics that I researched. So in 2018, the state of Kentucky had 3,200 polling places. When they go to vote tomorrow, there are only 200 polling places statewide.
Yeah.
That, and in Jefferson County, which is the largest, most populated, so it has about 600,000 registered voters. It's where the capital, Louisville, the largest city is. There will be one polling place. One polling place in Louisville, in the most populous city. And I have to bring this up. Louisville is also where Breonna Taylor was murdered.
Yeah.
Now, we have to, this is just my research. Our Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, is from Kentucky. He was a judge there before. So when you look at these systemic issues of racism and classism, and the fact that those 3 officers that murdered Breonna Taylor still haven't been arrested, you can follow the writing on the wall to the fact that, well, if all judges share the same politics as Mitch McConnell, then there's a reason those cops haven't been arrested yet. And this guy is the 2nd or 3rd most powerful man in the U.S. today.
Yeah.
So there are people who are running against him. There is Charles Booker, who's to unseat Mitch McConnell. So it's really, the devil is in the details. Every little politician that you don't even think twice about can end up running this country.
Yeah. Yeah. And having an influence on matters that actually affect your day-to-day life, like your local police department, like the budgets that you get for healthcare or education, like infrastructure needs that your city may or may not get, right? So these are all connected. I think you said that very well. गुरदीप जी, यहाँ पे हमें एक और छोटी सी ब्रेक के लिए रुकना पड़ा. Don't go anywhere. Conversation बिल्कुल ऐसे ही जारी रहेगी. आप भी इन्वॉल्व हो सकते हैं इस टॉपिक में. ज़रूर हमें कॉल करके आप अपने comments and thoughts शेयर करें. We'll talk more after the break. ब्रेक के बाद एक बार फिर आपका स्वागत है. प्रोग्राम स्ट्रेट टॉक में बात हो रही है कैसे जो यूएस में प्राइमरी इलेक्शंस चल रहे हैं आज की डेट में, उनमें एक डेलीगेट का क्या रोल होता है. अगर आपने प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शन की बात करनी, कैसे डेलीगेट्स एक पूरी पार्टी की डायरेक्शन को किसी एक तरफ मूव करते हैं. सो इस चीज़ में हमारे साथ डिस्कशन करने के लिए ज्वाइन करें एक बार फिर मिस गुरदीप कौर, ए प्लेज्ड बर्नी सैंडर्स डेलीगेट फ्रॉम कैलिफोर्निया. गुरदीप जी, एक बार फिर आपका प्रोग्राम में स्वागत. गुरदीप जी, अनफॉर्चुनेटली समा हमारे पास ज़्यादा नहीं रह गया, बट बिफोर वी गो, we are once again talking about the New York primary, and in New York there was a large segment of support for Bernie Sanders, जो आपके भी pledged candidate हैं as a delegate. In closing, I want you to kind of walk our viewers through, for those of us who are in New York, जो कल अपनी वोट डालने की प्लान कर रहे हैं, what they should know about the delegates that are listed on the ballot, खास करके वो delegates जो बाइडेन को छोड़ के pledged हैं, चाहे वो बर्नी सैंडर्स है या like you said Elizabeth Warren or whoever else is left on the ballot. What should our viewers know about picking or not picking those delegates? And then, in addition, if you have any other comments you'd like to make about the primary races taking place in New York tomorrow, I'd love to hear those as well.
Okay, so I just to reiterate, if you were a Bernie supporter, if you believe in the ideas that he pressed forward, your vote for Bernie is still going to make a difference. As somebody who's been around the political sphere a little bit, your vote makes a difference. You send a message, and you're going to be able to have a say in what the party represents. Mm-hmm. On top of that, down ballot elections are so important. I can't emphasize this enough. So there's a few people running in New York that were endorsed by Bernie, including Mondaire Jones, mm-hmm. Jamal Bauman, Semelis Lopez, and of course, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Mm-hmm. We have to make sure that we have a team. You know, if we are mad at everything that our current president is doing, he's not doing it alone. He has a whole team that works for him, mm-hmm. Cause all the damage that he's doing. Mm-hmm. So we need to make sure, regardless of who's at the top, we have a strong team fighting against injustice.
Right, absolutely.
And on top of that, I just want everyone to get more involved because one of the biggest problems in politics is money. There's billions of dollars in that goes into politicking, and it's because we don't inform ourselves. So basically, the person who sends out the most flyers, runs the most ads, ends up getting most of our votes.
Right.
And if we want that to change, we got to do our own research.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think there's one website you mentioned before. I'd love for you to share that again with our viewers.
It's ballotpedia.org.
Mm-hmm. And they can go to this and use this website, Ballotpedia, like Wikipedia, but ballot in the front, to research candidates, to find out their platforms, unko kisse paisa aa raha hai, donations, all of this information, how they're voting, right?
Yes.
Gurdeep ji, before we wrap, I also want to kind of, address that mindset that especially a lot of young people have, right? When you hear things like vote blue no matter who, on one hand, that is, aimed to strengthen the party, to get rid of that kind of discouraged atmosphere of people who feel that, hamara candidate nahi chuna gaya, so we're not going to get involved at all, right? But at the same time, even with the vote blue no matter who kind of mindset, you still have this level of control on the direction of the party, and that's kind of where the delegate comes in, right? And how you guys push the party in a direction come the time of the convention and at other times, right? So how do you reconcile that vote blue no matter who mindset that, a large segment of the party is pushing versus kind of the younger mindset, or that you end up seeing in a lot of the younger voters, that they are just discouraged by the way that they see the machine working, right?
Yeah. I was pretty averse to politics. I like it, but we grow up with politics is dirty, Rajniti is dirty, and it's not about vote blue no matter who. We got to change who it is. Mm-hmm. If you want something to change, you can't wait around for somebody else to do it. I'm 29. I am pretty, I'm on the younger side of things. We have to realize everybody running this country is over 70, over 80. Like, can you imagine just the people that you interact with that are that old? Like, they're running this country. And we've sadly inherited this deep, insecurity and imposter syndrome as a generation because of the economic crisis that happened, because of all the student loan debt that we're in. And we need to realize this is our country. And if we are sick of seeing what's out there, we need to level up. And I've been really trying to get more people involved in that fact that if you are an avid voter, you need to now level up. run for something local. If you weren't involved before, start educating yourself, start reading. Whatever it is, it's time to level up, because whatever we've been doing, we've been losing. And it's not just we lost in 2016. We haven't had immigration reform in 40 years. Education is defunded every single year. Schools, Chicago closed down like 70 public schools recently. Like, we gotta stop being the victim. We gotta stop taking it, and we gotta get involved. And
Right.
it's kind of like what Cardi B said: young people aren't voting, so you need to vote.
Yeah. And it's also, highlights the fact that no one gives you your rights on a platter. You always have to fight for them. And, every day we hear people talk about our rights are being infringed, our rights are being, cut down, or our civil rights are being attacked in some way. Well, you have to fight for that, right? And this is how you fight within the system, and you can change the system. Ms. Gurdeep Kaur, thank you so much for joining us. And before we go, I want to mention one more thing for our viewers who are watching in New York that plan to vote tomorrow. अगर आज के शो को देख के आपको कोई भी चीज़ लगी that you are reconsidering some way that you may have voted, अगर आपने अपना absentee ballot already cast कर दिया है, you can still go to the polling place tomorrow, your designated polling place, and recast your ballot. In the state of New York, this is allowed. So, Gurdeep ji, once again, thank you for joining us. We wish you the best of luck in all of your endeavors and within the party. And we'll love to hear from you in August to see how the Democratic Convention turns out. And in the meantime, we wish you the best of luck with all of the campaigning efforts that you're supporting for your team. And here I'll say to all of our viewers, जो यहाँ का political process है, it is designed to give you a voice, but like we said just now, you have to fight for your right to have a voice. Just because आप citizen बन चुके हैं, आप vote cast कर सकते हैं, that is not enough to make sure कि जो आपके rights हैं, जो आपकी freedoms हैं, जो चीज़ें आपको इस country की constitution promise करती हैं, वो आपको मिल रही हैं. It's not enough. अगर आप अपने आप को educate नहीं करेंगे यहाँ के system के बारे में, यहाँ के candidates के बारे में, तब तक वो आवाज़ आपकी बिल्कुल बुलंद नहीं होगी. इसी के साथ हम आज का प्रोग्राम समाप्त करते हैं. अगर आपको कोई भी टॉपिक, क्वेश्चंस, कमेंट्स आज के प्रोग्राम के बारे में या किसी और चीज़ के बारे में आप इस शो को लेके हमारे साथ डिस्कस करना चाहते हैं, आप ज़रूर हमें ईमेल कर सकते हैं info@justbroadcasting.com, ashmita@justbroadcasting.com. ऐसे ही हमारे साथ जुड़े रहिए. दिल की ओपन स्टेज कमिंग अप नेक्स्ट. मुझे आप दो इजाज़त. नमस्कार.